Meeting to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Ferris,
Here.
Commissioner Hayman,
Here.
Commissioner Mondragon,
Here.
and Commissioner Richter.
Here.
Richter. Richter.
Right. Pledge of Allegiance, please rise. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Do we need to do a roll?
Chairman, or Vice Chairman Ferris?
Yes.
It's been a little while here. Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon,
Aye.
Commissioner
Richter.
Richter. Aye. Is your name misspelled on the agenda?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Okay, approval of the minutes from 10:25:22.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon,
Aye.
Commissioner Richter. Aye. 4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, this is the public comment of the agenda. Persons wishing to address the commission on matters that are within the commission's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Planning Commission may not take action on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes for public comment, and that time is limited for 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Do we have any public comment? Anybody on the phone? Okay. We will go ahead and close public comment at this time. Public hearing. This is for a parcel map waiver for 22-01- a request to divide 8.98 acres into 6 parcels located at 840 North China Lake Boulevard, APNs 396-500-11 and 12. Applicant is McIntosh and Associates. Staff report? I'm sorry, did we open the hearing?
Yes, you're going to
Okay.
just say you're opening the public hearing.
So we're opening the hearing at this time. Thank you, Travis.
So this is a public hearing for a parcel map waiver. This is currently 2 parcels. The applicant is requesting to divide that into 6. This is the Ridgecrest Town Center Plaza. The site is fully developed. The purpose of a parcel map waiver is to divide the land where all of the existing infrastructure and the existing site improvements are already there. So in a parcel map, we would have those off-site improvements that would generally be required. All those improvements are currently already in place. So there would be none of those improvements. Our municipal code does require that this comes to a public hearing and that Planning Commission does approve it. It's obviously compliant with the zoning code. It's zone general commercial, and the general plan is designated commercial. It's also exempt from CEQA. This is kind of a common sense exemption because it has no potential significant environmental impact. The development, the project is already fully in place. There's no changes other than redrawing boundaries to the property lines. The resolution just states that we've had the public hearing and the exemption There is a change you're going to find in front of you. There's one condition of approval that was not included in the packet, and the applicant's representative, Whitney, is here in the audience with us tonight, and she's aware of this as well. It's just a simple condition, and it just asks that the existing CC&Rs, that's the, what deals with the shared, the shared common areas, thank you, and how the improvements are maintained between what will be 6 parcels. So that's like the drive aisles, the parking, and the lighting, landscaping. So the CC&Rs that are currently recorded on the title with the parcel map obviously reflect the 2 parcels as they are right now, or something, I even think it's older. So we would just ask that it reflects the current, what the map will be, that you guys would be approving tonight. And if you have any questions, Travis is here, and obviously Whitney as well. So that concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Heather. Commissioner comments? We'll start with Commissioner Richter.
Can you come back to me?
Sure. Vanessa?
I don't have any right now.
No? Bernie?
I was just wondering what the purpose is for, if it can be, public information for dividing the parcels.
Do you mind?
I would venture to guess that it's for tax purposes, for tax reasons, so that way they can better divvy taxes but that's just my guess, and if Megan wants to, or not
Whitney.
Megan, I'm sorry, Whitney wants to add to that?
Yeah,
She's-
correct. You want me to?
Sure.
Good evening, Vice Chair Ferris and Commissioners, staff. Yes, I agree with Travis. It is for tax purposes. So like Heather mentioned, all the buildings are existing, and we are just creating additional parcels for each building for tax purposes, for each tenant.
Okay.
And we're okay with the additional comment for the CC&Rs to be updated.
Okay.
So one other thing that I'll note on this map, if you see on the Exhibit B, page 2, we had the surveyor add a note. So if you look at the staff report, it calls out that there's 2 APNs, APN 11 and 12. But when you look at the existing conditions, it basically shows the existing buildings in one big parcel. So the note just below the big parcel next to the line table on page 2 of 3 notes that we assumed that the 2 APNs were created for tax purposes and that there was not 2 legally created parcels there. Hence why on our exhibit here, we're only showing it as one big parcel.
Thanks, Travis. I have no questions or no comments, Heather. I think you're absolutely correct that it's fairly self-explanatory, and the reasons given, I think, are more than appropriate. Commissioner Richter, if we're back to you, are you?
No, Commissioner Mondragon asked the question.
Okay. In that case, I think we need to just request a motion for approval. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon,
Aye.
Commissioner Richter.
Abstain.
3 ayes, motion carries.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:10. Moving on to discussion and other action items. Looks like a tentative tract map extension 7345, consideration of a 12-month extension to tentative tract map or TTM 7345, a request to create an 11-lot subdivision on 3.82 acres, zoned E2, 10,000 square feet, minimum lot size on vacant land located on Shenandoah Avenue and South Norma Street, APN 510-020-07. Staff report.
So tonight, we have 3 track map extensions. I know 2 of our commissioners probably haven't seen our track map extensions, and Ferris and Heyman, if you're just going to have to bear with us here for a second. So the track map extensions, excuse me, our municipal code allows for a 12-month extension for a total of 3 years, as our municipal code is right now. Travis and I will be coming to you hopefully next month, asking you to look at the municipal code, and we're going to recommend an update to that following the MAP Act for a total of a 6-year extension. A lot of our maps have reached the limit of their extensions, whether they run out of the 3-year extensions that our municipal code allowed, and then any of the assembly bills and state bills that had extended them previously. And where that kind of leaves us is with no maps to be responsive to housing demand. If an applicant wants to come in and build housing, and we don't have any maps that are ready, that are approved at planning commission level and ready, then we could be 18 months to 2 to 3 years out to respond to any housing demand. And right now, we're looking at this map that's before you tonight will be one of the few maps that still has 12-month extensions even left after this year, from the 3-year extensions that are permittable from our municipal code. So that's kind of where we're at, and then we'd be looking in the future to change that, just because it's a lot of work to approve a map, and the map extensions, anytime that we're coming to you, we're saying that they comply with the general plan and the zoning code. And if they have any changes, as Ferris and Heyman have seen us do in the past, we're asking them to add those conditions. So whether that's being annexed into a lighting and landscaping district, or to add new drainage sumps, we're asking the applicants to add those conditions onto their maps. So we would still follow the same kinds of things. So should the code change and we see things in our community that we want, we would still ask. But generally speaking, map extension should be routine, and maybe not an annual. So, yeah. So we'll come back, hopefully next meeting for some code change. But I just kind of wanted to start with that before we get into these. So I'm going to take these kind of quick tonight. So if you guys have questions, obviously I can elaborate. But as far as my presentation, I think we've all heard these a couple of times, so I'm going to keep it brief. This map is an existing map. This one was approved originally in 2018. It's under 4 acres. There's only 11 lots. It's just a 12-month extension. The property owner did get an extension for the COVID this last year, and that was an 18-month extension that was granted to him. But that was the only extension that he's gotten for this map. So we're asking for just the first 12-month extension on that one. So you guys have any questions on that, or?
Do we have to approve all of these individually, or can we just lump them? And what would be your recommendation?
I think we're going to have to prove them individually.
They're agendized separately, so we can approve them individually. In the future, we could definitely make them more of a consent calendar kind of item. I've seen plenty of other planning commissions do that, where it's like, these maps are up for extensions. So, not tonight, because they are agendized separately. So do I have any questions on the 7345?
Maybe this is more, the developer's not here.
No.
Travis, do you know, is this something that is, and you've heard me ask this question, I don't know, 800 times. Is this a project that is shovel-ready? Are they ready to go on this, or is this just 12 months and we'll see what happens?
So as far as the plans go and things like that, this map is shovel-ready. As far as if the developer's going to start, I would say that there's a high likelihood that you're not going to see this map move within that year.
Okay. Thank you.
But to Heather, what Heather said, it's
Absolutely.
important that we have these lots available should
certainly.
a developer show up.
Certainly. Any questions from the commission?
No.
Okay, then I would request a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Chairman or Vice Chairman Ferris.
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon.
Aye.
Commissioner Richter.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, that brings us to number 3, which is another tentative tract map, 6912, consideration for a 12-month extension for the tract with 23 lots generally located northwest of Javis Avenue on College Heights Boulevard, APN 510-041-01 to 510-041-17, 510-042-01 to 510-042-17, and 510-043-01 to 510-043-16. Okay, there'll be a test on that number.
Right.
Staff report?
Okay, so this one, again, it's another small one. It's only 23 lots. It was originally approved in 2010. It's received several assembly bills and Senate bills and 2 planning commission approvals, and it received the AB 1561, which was due to the COVID. So this would be the final, as the municipal code stands right now, approval. Staff does recommend the approval for this one. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
None.
No?
No.
Again, pretty straightforward. I would again ask Travis, is this one that, are any of these that we're discussing tonight developers ready to go right now, or is this just looking well ahead into the future?
Looking well ahead into the future.
Perfect. Save me the opportunity to ask that again. I appreciate it. Okay, do I have a motion, a recommendation for approval?
I'll move.
Second.
Vice Chairman Ferris.
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman.
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon.
Aye.
Commissioner Richter.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
All right. Number 4 is a tentative tract map extension 6691, consideration for a 12-month extension for the tract with 226 lots located at the northwest corner of West Ridgecrest Boulevard and North Mahan with portions extending to the northwest corner of West Ridge, Los Flores Avenue and North Mahan Street. APNs 455-100-06, 455-100-07, 455-100-08, and 100-09. Staff report.
So this map is much larger, obviously. This one, same thing, this would be the last extension. And this might be one of the few maps that, when the time comes, that we look at extensions again, this one might need further review based on what the Navy's new flight path will be. So, again, the one size fits all for map extensions, will definitely still apply on a case-by-case basis. So when I say, we're considering, it will definitely still apply to, what the map is. So this one, I'm still obviously recommending a 12-month extension on this, but I just want to point out, that the Navy is building a new flight path. This currently does fall under the noise level is high, and I don't know what the future flight path will be and what that may impact. So we will obviously want to see what that looks like. I know the developer has had some different ideas about this piece of property in general, so it may not be, we may pursue different avenues with this one, but at this time, I still recommend a 12-month extension on this.
Okay, Commissioner comments?
So if we do the 12-month extension now, but then we change the code to 6 years as recommended, would we just reconvene about this one at the end of a year and then figure out yay, nay for that 6 year extension, or?
Yeah, so I think, as we start, when we, number one, when we change the code, I don't think that we would say, Travis can jump in anytime, but I don't think we would say that we would approve extensions for a 6-year period. We might say 2 years or 3 years, and then we would want to see them back. We do need to keep in mind, we are going to be updating our housing element, so I don't know, if that would change anything as these maps stand right now. But then if it was something like this one in particular, even if we extended it, we wouldn't have to say, staff could recommend that when it came back to us, we extend it for a 2-year period, instead of, the code says, we might change the code that we could extend for up to 2 years or up to 3 years, right? That doesn't mean that we have to. We could come to you with a staff recommendation of a 1-year extension still, based on the fact that we know the Navy is changing their flight path.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that we can always attempt to is the Subdivision Map Act is pretty specific on how we can have a map that's approved for 6 years now, but there was not much to the tune from my reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, as to what you have to do or what you need to do with existing maps. They've kind of left that in our court. So just because staff recommends, like say we have a map that we say we recommend a 6-year extension on this, so we don't have to come back to this, maybe Planning Commission wants us to look at how many years has it already been extended? We only want to do it 2. So the reign is kind of all in our court when it comes to that when we do this code update. So nothing is truly finite with what that extension can be, other than the most we could do would be a 6-year extension. And then that, didn't that, if I remember right, that alleviated all the 1-year extensions from us, and it would die at 6 years.
Right, so the maps that we have right now, we've already done 3 years, so they would still only have 3 years left. But in the future, new maps would have a 6-year period, but then it's up to us to determine how often we want to see them back. Maybe 1 year is too much, but maybe, in certain cases, there's no reason that we couldn't make the code so that, when we condition it, we can condition based on what's necessary. You know, on some of these infill, like the two maps that were prior to this, some of these infill, the likelihood that we're gonna need to see that back in 3 years is not very likely. There's already existing infrastructure surrounding it. They're in neighborhoods that are already built out, but maybe a larger map like this, where we know that there's something like an ACUS that's coming out, maybe we do need to see it back in a year. You know, it will be up to staff and the planning commission to appropriately condition. And I think we can do that, you know, we don't have that many maps, and we can take the time to review them appropriately.
Thank you, Heather. Any other comments from the commission?
I have a question. How many, is there a limit on how many extensions the map can get?
Yeah, so right now it's 3. Unless there's the assembly bills or the Senate bills, because those override, and they supersede anything that we do. But right now, as our municipal code stands, it's 3. But the Subdivision Map Act currently says that they can have 6. And so that's why we want to come back and change our municipal code to be more reflective of the Subdivision Map Act.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question, but I think that we can go ahead and move forward with this recommendation of approval, and then I'll just ask a
Okay.
question later, if that's okay. So I'd like to go ahead and ask for a motion for approval of the recommended 12-month extension.
I'll move.
Second.
Vice Chairman Ferris,
Aye.
Commissioner Hayman,
Aye.
Commissioner Mondragon,
Aye.
Commissioner Richter.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Now, if I can ask my question, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to read ahead here, but because if this is going to come to us in another meeting,
Yep.
that's fine, we can carry that. I'm just wondering if this is approved in the next meeting, that we do a 6-year or up to 6-year extension, are we just kicking this down the road a little bit? Or do you anticipate that in those 6 years, that's enough time to see some of this development? Or in 6 years, is the next commission that's sitting up here going to be saddled with this? Now what do we do? Because we've sort of put a sunset on this. And again, this can wait till the next one, because it's obviously not even presented right now. It's just sort of food for thought at this point.
You want me to take a crack at
As
that
far
one?
as like the amount of maps that are expired, or?
Correct.
So right now, Pam, which has 2 of the maps that you just extended tonight, they have 2 maps that you approved last year or the year before. So those are 2 active maps. And then the 7345 is active. And then I think that's,
We have the 2 on the hill that are 6,700 and 6,775 that hopefully after we get the code change, we can extend. That's some of the only land other than Shenandoah up the hill that's ready to rock and roll, that has a full set of plans that would be ready per se, I think, for a developer to come in and go.
well, and if we do this, so, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we do this, so then we have a little bit of a stagger, right? Because we have the ones that are already expired, like this year. And so those ones, if we change the code, we'll have another 3 years, because that would be the total 6-year extension. And then the maps that we just recently approved would have another 5 years or 6
Okay.
years. So we're going to have a little bit of a
So-
stagger here.
So it's not an additional 6?
No.
After expiration, it's where they are, up to 6?
Where they are,
Okay.
because we've already granted 3, so
Okay.
they'd still have another 3.
And again, I realize that this is sort of in its infancy stage, and I'm not
Right.
trying to read ahead, but
Yeah.
just, it's something to think about, and I would hate to see, Travis, when his hair's even grayer,
Mm-hmm.
sitting up here going, now all 6 of them, or all of them are expiring at the same time.
Right, well, because that's where we're at right now, because, the housing kind of, where we had a housing boom in like 6 and 8, and then all of these things, that's where we're at.
Sure. Okay. Any other commissioner comments on this subject? Okay, commissioner comments or committee reports. I'll go ahead and start. Economic Development Committee has met. We discussed the new developments that are, and groundbreakings that are happening in Ridgecrest as far as development goes. We've also discussed the Economic Outlook Conference and the potential for the city of Ridgecrest to be a sponsor / co-sponsor of the event. And we discussed a unique opportunity for a Ridgecrest Night Out type of event on Balsam Street. And as far as I know, that's still a go on February 10th, but I'm uncertain if the date has changed.
It's right, it's February 10th.
February 10th. So I know that there was some discussion about the date may not work, but I'm glad to hear that it's a go. And that concludes my committee report for economic development. Ms. Hammond?
Quality of life and city org has not met this month.
Commissioner Monroe?
I don't have any comments.
Okay,
No commissioner items for me.
okay. Staff items? All right. Heather?
I think Heather hit all the staff items.
I don't think so.
Okay, we will go ahead.
Oh, wait, I know.
Wait.
So, I do have one
We
item,
are
sorry.
almost out here on record.
Sorry,
You missed
sorry.
your window. You missed your window, even though you're
Let
running
me,
this meeting.
let me keep that going. So we did circulate an initial study for the Villa Crest apartments, which is a proposed development on Raider, between Raider and Bowman, on the vacant land there. Not right on Downs, but right past the parcel. It would have been Red Rock Apartments. So that's for over 300 units. It is a phased development, but we did circulate an initial study on that. And so we have some comments back from some agencies and some neighbors that will be coming to you guys in the next month or two. It's a site plan and a general plan amendment and a zone change. But that initial study is out. You guys can view it on our website. Everyone can view it on our website. The initial study is under the environmental documents on the planning webpage under Villa Crest. So if you want to see the traffic studies, the soil samples, any of that stuff, it's all on there for your reading enjoyment. Little light 400-page reading.
Perfect.
So
Thank you, Heather.
you're welcome.
So if there are no other commissioner comments or questions, nothing further from staff, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:34. Thank you all.